This session will move the ACP group of states towards the ACP we want. The agenda includes consideration of the revised Georgetown Agreement, our Constitutive Act of 1975, first amended in 2003. It is placed for the Council's examination with regard to fundamental changes in its title, preamble, and objectives. As an international organization and the most unique intergovernmental body today, with observer status at the United Nations since 1985, it is proposed that we shall have a more formal designation and be known as the Organization of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, OACPS. Given that importance, the preamble and objectives now explicitly state the identity of our organization that is more steadfastly grounded in the unity and solidarity of our member states. Such unity and solidarity are the bedrock that defines the primacy of action and fundamental purpose of the OACPS as development. That is our DNA, sustainable development of all our societies and peoples in the three dimensions: economic, social, and environmental.
Today, the goals of the ACP group extends beyond its original objectives and covers cooperation among member states ranging from trade, economics, politics, and culture in an atmosphere that recognizes the diverse geographical spaces and features. The vision of the ACP group remains solid in becoming leading transcontinental organization propelled by pursuit for increased solidarity to improve the living standards of its people. We remain committed to multilateralism within the framework of World Trade Organization and the United Nations systems. As we acknowledge and appreciate the role played by the private sector, youth, and women in the global economy, we are aware that these important groups have been slotted to engage on the sidelines of this summit. I trust the ACP Secretariat will provide guidance on how best to integrate the resolutions of these forums with the 9th ACP Summit outcome document.
Africa has a population of 1 billion people, with a GDP of close to $3.5 trillion US dollars, with the youngest population in the world, with 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, a continent with the highest return on investment. Surely, you cannot tell me that continent can only be described in terms of war and poverty and hunger. I don't think so. And therefore, it is important for us, and I say so because I believe in it, and that is why Kenya took the first step when we decided as a continent that we intend to trade and do business more with other African countries, and took the step to sign the Continental Free Trade Area. Kenya was the first country to sign and ratify the Africa Continental Free Trade Area because we believe that there is more to share in prosperity than in poverty. I want to urge the rest of the countries in our continent that are yet to sign and ratify the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to do so, because therein lies our opportunity to trade more, to do business more, and to create better opportunities for the many young people, the millions of young people in our continent. Committed multilateralism is the most strategic path to overcoming challenges to sustainable development. In order to accelerate the pace of this progress, this commitment must entail transformative collaboration. As to be truly transformative, a good starting point must be the inclusion, participation, and consideration of youth and women in global affairs, as well as partnership with the private sector. It is a known fact that countries that are open to international trade tend to grow faster, innovate, improve productivity, and provide higher incomes and more opportunities for their people. Noting the commitment of the Lome Convention towards eliminating obstacles which impede some of the members from taking full advantage of the opportunities offered within the ACP mechanism, I urge you to continue to work towards addressing the challenges faced by member states. Our efforts must be geared towards strengthening our trade and trade ties and leverage on our connectedness while negotiating with other regions of the world. The ACP must continue to be supportive of an open, rules-based, predictable, multilateral trading system with the goal of helping its members participate and enjoy the benefits of such a system. In addition, developing the private sector through a range of strategies that aim to establish markets that function vibrantly and fairly should continue to be the mainstay of our efforts to provide economic opportunities of quality to our people and attract foreign direct investment. This we should do by focusing our resources on creating enabling conditions for growth, addressing constraints within the markets, and finally, by engaging the businesses and, where appropriate, allowing business to take the lead. The threat of terrorism to global peace as an evolving transnational menace requires a collective strategy, priority, and response by ACP, in addition to actions taken by individual member states. Terrorism is one of the major causes of instability in the current environment. It seeks to undermine the very rules that are the cornerstone of international cooperation. Terrorism will remain a key challenge to peace and stability and to state power, particularly through its ability to use asymmetric methods to bypass traditional security and defense systems. We require a global approach in addressing its manifestations, as well as the socio-economic and political context in which it occurs. ACP member states should lead from the front in providing recommendations on how the global community can collectively counter terrorism and extremism. I invite you to speak to these same challenges as you pursue your agenda in this meeting. I am very clear in my mind that first and foremost, the beneficiaries of these 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, first and foremost, we should take that opportunity as Africans. If we have the highest return on investment, the first people who should invest in this continent are Africans themselves. And we have that opportunity. And that is why Kenya has taken the step that to enable greater freedom of movement of goods and people and services, we have taken the decision as the government of Kenya that any African who wants to come to Kenya can get their visa at the airport in Nairobi. That you do not need to get a visa in your home country. You can come all the way and we will give you a visa at the airport, because we believe the more Africans move, the better the opportunities they will get to trade with each other.